Okay, so after navigating to monthly report page, the next step to do is to create the yearly report. So we need to go and start with creating a new sequence and make sure that you will have it created under system 1 folder. Then let's name it system 1 create yearly report. Did I spell it correct? Yep. And hit the create button. So according to the instruction, need to start it with a relevant annotation. So if you haven't done that so far, to add annotation, just right click and here click add annotation, and let's say the fair condition is that the monthly report page be open in Acme System 1 application. And to pin that, just click this icon. So this is our annotation, and here we need to create three types of argument, three in arguments. So go to argument, and here let's put in tax ID. Next one is IN year, and then we also need to have IN reports download path. Okay, so those are all uh, string type, and we need to also have an out argument. Let's call it out yearly report path. So this variable will store the path to the yearly report file created after merging all the monthly reports. Okay, now we need to create a data table variable. So let's go on the variable page, and let's call that variable dt yearly report. And then here in variable type, we need to look for the data table. So here, that's the one under system.data. And we need to set its value to a new data table. So we need to have an assign activity in here. And then let's say dt yearly report path is equals to new data table. Okay, so now the next step is to add a type into activity. Let me just look for that type into. Okay, so in this at this time we need to have the monthly report page open. So first step is to type into this tax ID field. So let's indicate that field. Go back to Studio, and then the text should be the IN tax ID. Now the next step is to select year. So we need to have a click activity, and we need to select here. So indicate, and let's select this one for now. But we need to have the selector of this activity flexible, or referencing to the current transaction number. So to do that, wait, we need to change this selector. Let me just copy it or cut it. That's okay. Then go back to that selector. Now we need to string it. So here and here we need to remove this value and replace with the value of our, wait, let me just check that. Should be equal to the value of our year, right? And hit OK. So after that, and again, make sure that you have checked the simulate click property. So even if the page is in the background, uh, the bot or this project will still be able to click that. Now the next step is to create an array string called month. So let's go here and create a variable months, and we need to assign value to that variable. So get this assigned, put the variable months in here. Oops, I forgot to make it a string. So again, this variable should have an array of string variable type. So to do that, go here, array of t, and select for the string and hit OK. So now we'll need to populate it with the months. Start with January, February, March, oops, April, May, June, July, August, oops, September, October, oops, November, and finally December. Merry Christmas. Let me just check. June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Now once you have that assigned or created, hit OK. So the next step is to have a for each loop. So we'll need to find that for each loop, because what will happen is this. So what the first thing is, you paste a tax ID in here, and then you select the year, for example 2019, and then you need to navigate through all the months and click the download report, because we don't know in this activity what month has an available report. That's why we need to loop through the variable months which contain all the months name. So we'll be doing this loop from January to the December value and capture all the report that we can get and merge into one. So later you will see that. So let's look for the for each here. So let's say for each, then let's replace this at to month, and the loop should be on the months variable. All right. So for each month and month, we need to click this drop down based on the month value. So we need to add another click in here, and let's say for example January. But again, we need to modify the selector of this activity, which is the same with what we did on the clicking year activity. So go to the selector and let me cut it. Control X, hit OK, go back to the selector, put a string and paste the value inside that string. Make it a one line, because if not, you will receive an error. And now we need to replace this to the value of month, and we need to have it to string. Alright, hope you get that. Okay, so what will be the next thing here? So next is to add a click activity and indicate the download button. So add a click activity and oops, wait, let me cancel that. We need to click this download report button. Let's simulate click again. Let's also enable simulate click in here. Okay, and after that, once you click this button, wait, I think it's better if we could get a sample. So let me just check a sample in here. Look for generate grid report, get the tax ID, copy that, go to download monthly report, paste that. So let's select 2018 for example, say January, and when you click download report, oh, well, for this example there isn't available, so let's try those months without an available report first. If there's no available report, you will receive a message from the web page like this. So the next step for our project is to create or to add an element axis activity. Element axis, right? And we need to click that, and the output should be Control K. Uh, what is that? Let's say no. Sorry, Control K again. No report found. Hit enter. All right. And then the next step is to put an if activity. So if there's a web page pop up like this, we need to hit that OK button and proceed on checking the next available month from the array of month. Right, so we need to add here an if activity. So if no report found is equals to true, meaning this pop-up shows, we need to click that button or click that pop-up. So let's add a click here, indicate that on screen. Okay, well, based on my experience, you will encounter two web page pop up on this page. Let's try it so you can see it. So if alright, it's not showing yet. Oops, there's an available report. We're not yet on that example. So yep, okay. So this one is what I'm saying. It's another pop-up from web page, but this one is different from the previous one that I showed you or the one that we just indicate. Because as you can see here, there's a checkbox and another label. So if our element exists activity see it, it will not be identified as no, no report found because it's another instance. It's a separate element. It's a new element. So we need to have another condition for that. So I will be using element exists again. Put that on the else statement, right? Indicate that. And here, let's again use the variable no report found. And now we need to add another if statement. So if no report found is equals to true, meaning that type of pop-up shows up, we need to click that. So we cannot copy the previous click that we did because again, it's a separate window. It's not the same with the first pop-up. So indicate that OK button. Alright, so we're good. So if in case that these two types of pop-up did not show up, it means that the report is available. So that will be our next step. So in the else section of this nested if statement or if condition that we have, we need to add a click activity. And wait, let me just try a sample with report. Okay, well, there you see. Now we need to click this save and then save as button. So let's first indicate that this arrow. Alright, click save. And we need another click activity. I'm not sure if they can do it in just one click, but based on my experience, I'm getting an error. So I need to click this one first before I can go and click the save as link. So here indicate and need to press F2, click that, and there you go. Hey, click it. Alright, now we have clicked the save as button. Well, let's just click simulate on those two click activity. So the next thing is we need to create a variable name report file path. So really apologies for my background dog bark. That's from our neighbor. So say report file path, and we need to have an assign activity in here. So that report file path should be equals to, so this value is indicated on the PDF guideline, so just copy that. Plus, oops, sorry, should be plus, and then year plus month, that to string plus that CSV. Alright, so again, make sure to copy that from the PDF file that is also available in there. So hit OK after that. So once you click this save as button, of course you will get this pop up, and here you need to identify the path. Okay, so to do that, the next step in here is to add a type into activity. Indicate that. Oops, where is that? What happened? Oh, it was there. Hey, come on, show up. Right here. Need to indicate this field. My PC is lagging. So now we need to put here the report file path that we just created, but please follow this one. Let me just validate that. Okay, it should be 4 code in here. So if you will not be using this, you might encounter an error because, well, based on my experience, I encountered an error using only this variable. But if you will add a quote before the value of its variable, it will work fine. So you can try only report file path value in here, but if in case you encounter any error like it was not actually saving, it's not following the the file name, so just do the same thing as you can see in here. Okay, so after that, and well, based on the instruction they said there, simulate type, you need to make sure that this is enabled. But using this, I think I prepare that you should disable this one, so this will work. Okay, now we need to add a click button. And there's it. We need to click that save button in here. Well, this one we can enable the simulate click property. Okay, so after that, before we read the CSV, I think it would be better if we make sure that the file was downloaded completely first before we read the CSV, as you can see on the PDF instruction. So to do that, we'll need to use the on element appear activity. So let's say, for example, that I have saved it. So now we can use this. All right. So I think that the best indication that the file is completely downloaded is this label, and I cannot capture that using the indicate element here. So I think it's better to use UI Explorer. So we can scrape through the element property. Yep. Now again, indicate this element. I want to capture this text property. So here, wait, where is that? I think it was not able to capture that. Yeah, let's indicate in here. Alright, I think I can see it now. Let's just wait for it. Okay, here you can see that there's a text property available. So this one is dynamic. It will change depending on the file name. So I think we can have it a wildcard in here. So we just need to replace it with asterisk symbol. Now let's copy that. Let's close that one, go back in here, and then let's change the selector of this on element up here. Let's put that one instead, validate, yes, it's good. Hit OK. So once that appeared, the next thing that we need to do is to close that notification by clicking this X icon in here. So we need to have a click. Let's indicate that. Let me just check the selector. Yeah, that's the close and push button role. Okay, so once that is closed, I think we can now read the CSV. So we need to look for the read CSV activity, and then we need the report file path in here. And then the next thing is to merge that to the data table, the DT, oh no, wait, let me just look for the merge data table activity and go back to the instruction. So using merge data table activity, append the value of DT monthly report to the DT yearly report data table. Okay, so yeah, but DT monthly report. Yeah. So on this read CSV activity, on the data table output, we need to put here DT monthly report. So control K and then type this name and hit enter so that variable will be created as you can see in here. Now we need to merge the value of that monthly data table to our yearly data table, the one that we created, the first activity that we created on top of the sequence. So here on the destination, we need to put DT yearly report, and from the source, it should be DT monthly report. All right. So with the CSV merge data table, where are we? Okay. The next step is to delete the file that we just downloaded because the value was already merged to the yearly data table. So we need to look for delete file in here and put the report file path. Well, basically that's how it works. So I think we can now test it. Let me just check if we miss any instruction in here. Okay, there's another thing we need to have. We need to add an assign activity. Wait, where should I properly put it? Okay, we can put that in here, assign. So this will be for out yearly report path. Let me just check in here. It should be path that combine environment that current directory and reports download path yearly report dash last in year last in tax ID dot xlsx. All right, and after that, oh, there's a next one. We need a right range activity, right range yearly report. So we need to, uh, I think it's like append an Excel application. So we need here an Excel application scope first. And I think we can use here the out yearly report path. And we need to have a right range activity. So in here, the data table should be the DT yearly report. And I think that's all for the create yearly report sequence. Let me just verify if we missed anything. Okay, I think so far we're good. So I think we can test it for the meantime. So before we go on to the next sequence, we can make sure that this one is working. So we need to put default values in here. Let me just get the sample. So this is for the tax ID. In here, I think we can use 2018 reports download path. That should be data slash temp and out your report path. Okay, so let me just refresh this page. Download monthly report. Okay, now let's test it. I think this is the most complex sequence in this project. The next one might be the upload yearly report, but I believe this one contains a lot of activity. Right, downloading the file now, saving it. Right, come on, you can do it. But does not exist. Okay, that could be an error. Maybe because we need by this sequence was called, it assumed that the path was already created. So let's try to create one first. As you can remember, on our application earlier, we are removing that file on the sequence we called cleanup. So we need to have a folder in here. Hey, hey, my PC is lagging. Need to call the temp, and there you go. Close that, go back again, and let's test it. Okay, we'll continue the test on the next video. I think the recording is too long for now and it's slowing my PC. So see you on the next